now you're starting to see some issues creep in. I think they could maybe do with pausing a little bit and maybe just kind of being a bit more cerebral and a bit more analytical about things. At least Musk is sort of saying we are going to make mistakes and we're going to learn from that.
Welcome to The Debrief, where we talk with the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering and where the story's going next. I'm Sarah Bedford, and I'm here with managing editor Chris Irvine.
Hey.
Chris, Donald Trump has accomplished quite a bit in this we're just past the 1 month mark of his presidency. There are risks, though, to the type of strategy that he's taken. For example, yesterday we heard with DOGE, they accidentally canceled solving Ebola, and then they had to uncancel it. Are there risks to the strategy of DOGE just slashing at this pace?
Yeah, I think what we're starting to see now is after the sheen is maybe starting to wear off a little bit on the kind of furious 120 mile an hour nature of what the Trump administration has done coming in, and no one seems to kind of articulate that, and more so than Elon Musk and DOGE. And I think we are starting to see some mistakes creeping in, whether it be as Musk sort of glibly talked about, the Ebola problem, that old chestnut, or firing people from agencies that look after the nuclear weapons in this country. And I think there has been moments when it's been a little bit too scattergun, it's been a bit too relentless, and now you're starting to see some issues creep in. I think they could maybe do with pausing a little bit and maybe just kind of being a bit more cerebral and a bit more analytical about things. At least Musk is sort of saying we are going to make mistakes and we're going to learn from that. But yeah, you can see some cracks starting to come in a bit.
Mm-hmm. On the foreign policy front, Trump has been, equally bold. We've got the Gaza Riviera. Mm-hmm. We've got these Ukraine talks. Trump was really critical of Joe Biden for being a destabilizing force on the global stage. But do you think this approach also risks making Trump a destabilizing force as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's different ways to look at it. There's the part where you can see him appears to be kind of cozying up to the likes of Russia and maybe China to a lesser extent, and putting who you would consider to be traditional allies in uncomfortable positions. Now, one might argue, is this just the Trump negotiation tactic of asking for the world, not getting it necessarily, but then you get a deal? And we saw it with the tariffs about a month ago, although they look like they're going to come back into place at the beginning of March. We've seen it with Ukraine. Is this all part of a kind of galaxy brain style ploy to get money from the Ukrainians and to have assurances that they will have access to minerals, or is it really kind of putting people that we shouldn't be putting in uncomfortable situations? I think Europe has kind of looked on with certain horror in some respects. The new German government has already said that they're going to aim to kind of distance themselves from the U.S. and it's quite concerning. But at the same time, there may be method to the madness. I guess ultimately we just don't know.
And finally, the House Republicans finally passed their one big beautiful bill budget resolution. Senate Republicans are now going to have to reconcile their bill, and there's this push from the White House and Republicans to make permanent Trump's 2017 tax cuts. Does that, though, clash with Trump's overall vision of slashing the deficit, cutting, government spending? I
don't see how it couldn't. I think all this talk about saving money and cutting the deficit and getting the debt down, to then flirt with the idea of DOGE dividends and things like that, the two things don't correlate. Mm-hmm. And I think Trump and maybe Musk can't really resist the idea of giving people a big beautiful check with their name on it potentially. Mm-hmm. It happened with this sort of stimulus checks before, and that was kind of cited during the election as something that Joe Biden kind of missed out on that opportunity. But that to me, I'm not an economist. I could be completely wrong here, but that doesn't suggest to me that you're chipping away at the debt. If anything, I would imagine it would increase it. Some might argue that if you give people money back, then they're just going to go in and spend it anyway. I'm sure smarter people than I can make that argument, but I don't know. The two things don't seem to add up for me.
Yeah, I'm no economist, but I thought giving people checks is what caused inflation in the first place. So hard to see how that wouldn't be.
Many people are saying,
People are saying.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for being here today.
Yep.
You can get more reporting from Chris and the rest of the political team at washingtonexaminer.com.